The edge of extinction. The observation deck of Lunar Station Alpha offered the best view in Earth's orbit, a panoramic vista of humanity's homeworld set against the infinite blackness of space. Captain Maya Torres stood with her hands clasped behind her back, watching Earth rotate slowly beneath her. From up here, it looked peaceful, untouched. The scars of the first Vorax attack 5 years ago were invisible at this distance. Beautiful, isn't it? Admiral Chen's voice came from behind her. Hard to believe we almost lost it. Torres turned to face her superior officer. And we might still lose it if the Coalition's intelligence is accurate. Admiral Chen nodded grimly. The Coalition, a loose alliance of 17 alien species that had reluctantly admitted humanity after the first Vorax attack, had sent an encrypted transmission 12 hours ago. The Vorax swarm had been detected moving toward the Sol system. This time, they weren't sending a scouting party. This was an invasion fleet. "Walk with me, Captain," Admiral Chen said, gesturing toward the restricted section of the station. They passed through 3 security checkpoints before reaching a heavily guarded observation room. The viewport looked down into an enormous construction bay where a sleek, midnight black vessel hung suspended in a cradle of magnetic fields. Unlike the utilitarian designs of standard Earth vessels, this ship had predatory lines, sharp angles, and sweeping curves that suggested lethal purpose. "The USS Blackstar," Torres whispered, unable to keep the awe from her voice. "I've heard rumors, but most of those rumors don't do her justice," Chen replied. "Quantum fold drive capable of bending space-time instead of moving through it. Phase shift shields that can temporarily move the ship partially out of our dimensional plane. Graviton lance weapons that can collapse matter in on itself. She's 3 generations beyond anything we've fielded before. And completely untested in actual combat," Torres added. Chen's expression hardened. "That's about to change. The Coalition has denied our request for reinforcements, again." Torres felt a familiar frustration rise within her. After the first Vorax attack, the Coalition had grudgingly provided just enough technology to help Earth rebuild its defenses, but nothing that would elevate humanity to true competitive status among the stars. The message was clear. Humans were tolerated, not respected. "The Vorax will reach Neptune's orbit in 72 hours, Chen continued. "Even with our current fleet at full deployment, Earth Defense Command gives us a 12% chance of survival." Torres studied the sleek vessel below. "And with the Blackstar, Dr. Rivera estimates it might raise our odds to 30%, if it works as designed. If the quantum fold drive doesn't tear the ship apart, if the phase shift shields don't permanently displace the crew into another dimension. Those are a lot of ifs." "Admiral." Chen handed her a data tablet. "Congratulations on your new command, Captain Torres." Torres stared at the transfer orders on the screen, then back at Chen. "I'm not the most senior captain in the fleet." "No, but you're the one who survived direct combat with the Vorax. You're the one who brought the Madison home with half its systems destroyed and a third of its crew dead. You're the one who figured out how to modulate shield frequencies to resist Vorax energy weapons for an extra 45 seconds, just long enough to save New Santiago Colony." Chen's eyes were unflinching. "Most importantly, you're the one who's willing to do whatever it takes." Torres looked back at the Blackstar. Even incomplete, it radiated danger, a predator waiting to be unleashed. "When does my crew arrive?" "They're already here. Hand-selected. The best we have." Chen's expression softened slightly. "I won't lie to you, Maya. This mission has a high probability of being one way." Torres nodded. She had lost her parents during the first Vorax attack on Mars Colony. The memory of watching the settlement dome collapse from her escape pod still haunted her dreams. "As long as there's a chance to stop them, I'm in." The bridge of the USS Blackstar hummed with quiet tension as Torres entered for the first time. Unlike the utilitarian design of standard fleet vessels, the Blackstar's command center was sleek and minimalist. Holographic displays replaced physical consoles, and the lighting pulsed with a subtle blue undertone that seemed to emanate from the walls themselves. "Captain on deck," announced Commander Elijah Kimura, her newly assigned executive officer. The bridge crew snapped to attention, 8 officers, each supposedly the best in their field. "At ease," Torres said, moving to the captain's chair. "Status report." Kimura stepped forward. Tall and lean with precision-cropped hair, he moved with the efficiency Torres had heard about. "Final system calibrations are underway. Dr. Rivera is in engineering finalizing the quantum fold drive protocols. Weapons systems are at 90% capacity. Life support and artificial gravity are stable." Torres scanned the faces of her bridge crew. They were young. Too young for a potential suicide mission. But war rarely chose its participants fairly. "Lieutenant Park," she addressed the tactical officer, a compact woman with intense eyes. "I've reviewed your simulation scores. Impressive." Park nodded curtly. "Thank you, Captain. Though I should note that the simulations were created using theoretical models of how the Blackstar's weapons might perform. Meaning we won't know if they actually work until we fire them in combat." Torres finished. "Essentially, yes." Torres moved to the navigation station, where Lieutenant Rodriguez sat monitoring the holographic star chart. "The Vorax fleet's current position." Rodriguez gestured, and the display zoomed in on a cluster of red indicators approaching Saturn's orbit. "They've accelerated, Captain. New ETA to Earth is 58 hours. And the Earth Defense Fleet, deploying to Mars orbit as we speak. Coalition observers have established a perimeter at the edge of the system, but they're maintaining their non-intervention stance." Torres felt her jaw tighten. The Coalition races would watch Earth burn rather than risk their own ships against the Vorax. Humanity was expendable, a buffer between the swarm and their more civilized worlds. The bridge doors slid open, and Dr. Alessandra Rivera entered. The quantum physicist's reputation as a genius was matched only by her eccentricity. Her lab coat was decorated with equations written in marker, and her hair was pulled back in a hasty ponytail. "Captain." "Good you're here," Rivera said without preamble. "I've made some final adjustments to the quantum fold equations. If my calculations are correct, and they usually are, we should be able to execute a fold without liquefying everyone on board." Torres raised an eyebrow. "That's reassuring." Rivera either missed or ignored the sarcasm. The trick was adjusting for the quantum resonance of organic matter. Previous attempts at similar technology by the Coalition races failed because they treated the ship and crew as a single entity. My approach creates a protective quantum bubble around all biological components. "Will it work?" Torres asked bluntly. Rivera hesitated, a rare moment of doubt from the brilliant scientist. "Theoretically, yes, but there's a reason the Coalition banned this line of research. Quantum manipulation at this scale can have unpredictable effects on local spacetime." "Like what?" "Like creating micro-tears in reality that could potentially expand exponentially." Rivera shrugged. "Or it could work perfectly and revolutionize space travel. That's the beauty of cutting-edge science. We won't know until we try." Torres exchanged a glance with Commander Kimura, whose expression remained carefully neutral. "Thank you, Doctor. Please coordinate with engineering for final preparations." After Rivera left, Torres addressed the bridge crew. "I know most of you have only just met. You've been pulled from different assignments, different ships, different lives. But what we're about to attempt will determine whether humanity has a future among the stars or becomes another extinct species in the cosmic ledger." She stood, making eye contact with each officer in turn. "The Blackstar represents humanity's last, best hope. Experimental technology, untested systems, and a crew that's never worked together against an enemy that has decimated every world they've encountered. The odds are against us." Torres allowed that to sink in before continuing. "But the Vorax don't understand something fundamental about humans. When pushed to the edge of extinction, we don't surrender. We fight harder. We innovate. We survive. She paused. Launch is in 2 hours. Dismissed. The final launch preparations were completed in tense silence. Torres reviewed the mission parameters one last time in her ready room, a sparse compartment adjacent to the bridge. The plan was simple, if desperate. Intercept the Vorax fleet before it reached Earth, test the Blackstar's capabilities against the outer elements of the swarm, and, if successful, attempt to target the command ship that Earth intelligence believed coordinated the hive-like Vorax vessels. A chime at her door pulled her from her thoughts. Enter. Dr. Rivera stepped inside, holding a small device that pulsed with an eerie blue light. Captain, I wanted to give you this before we launch. Torres eyed the device warily. What is it? A quantum resonance key. When we engage the fold drive, this will ensure you remain in phase with normal spacetime, regardless of what happens to the ship. Rivera placed it on the desk. It's a failsafe. One I've only had time to produce a single copy of. Torres stared at the device. Why me? Because someone needs to tell Earth if we fail. Rivera's usually manic energy had settled into something more solemn. And because you've seen the Vorax up close, you understand what we're facing better than anyone else on this ship. Torres didn't touch the device. I won't abandon my crew, Doctor. I'm not suggesting you would, Rivera replied. Think of it as insurance. If everything goes catastrophically wrong, Earth deserves to know what happened. She moved to leave, then paused at the door. For what it's worth, Captain, I believe the Blackstar will work exactly as designed. I just believe in contingencies too. After Rivera left, Torres studied the quantum key. The scientist's words echoed in her mind. Earth deserves to know what happened. She slipped the device into her uniform pocket just as the launch alert sounded. All moorings retracted. Magnetic restraints disengage. Station control has cleared us for departure. Lieutenant Rodriguez's voice was steady despite the tension on the bridge. Torres settled into the captain's chair. Take us out, 1/4 impulse until we clear the Luna security perimeter. The Blackstar glided smoothly from its construction cradle, its midnight hull absorbing, rather than reflecting the lights of Lunar Station Alpha. As they emerged into open space, Torres felt the subtle vibration beneath her feet that signified the ship's revolutionary propulsion system coming fully online. We are clear of the security perimeter, Captain, Rodriguez reported. Set course to intercept the Vorax fleet. Maximum conventional drive. The stars on the view screen shifted as the Blackstar accelerated toward its destiny. Earth receded behind them, a fragile blue marble suspended in darkness. Captain, Commander Kimura said quietly, standing beside her chair. Earth Defense Command is hailing us. Admiral Chen. Torres nodded. Put her through. Chen's holographic image appeared before the captain's chair. Captain Torres. The Blackstar's launch was detected by coalition observers. They're demanding an explanation for why we've deployed an unauthorized experimental vessel in violation of technology restrictions. What are you telling them? Chen's hologram smiled thinly. That we're conducting a routine test flight. It won't hold up to scrutiny, but it should buy you some time. Her expression turned serious. The Vorax have increased speed again. They'll reach Mars orbit in 36 hours. Whatever you're going to do it quickly. Understood, Admiral. Maya, Chen said, using her first name for perhaps the first time in their professional relationship. The Blackstar is a symbol of what humanity can achieve when pushed to our limits. Remember that, whatever happens next. The transmission ended, leaving Torres with the weight of humanity's future pressing down on her shoulders. Captain, Lieutenant Park called from Tactical. Long-range sensors have detected a small group of Vorax vessels that have broken away from the main fleet. They appear to be an advanced scouting party, heading directly for us. Torres felt a surge of adrenaline. Time to intercept. At current speeds, 18 minutes. This was it, sooner than expected, but perhaps better to test the Blackstar's capabilities against a smaller force before engaging the main fleet. All hands to battle stations, Torres ordered. Shield status. Phase shift shields at full capacity, reported Lieutenant Commander Sato from the engineering station. But Captain, they'd remain untested against Vorax weapons. Torres nodded grimly. They won't be untested for long. Tactical, bring weapons systems online. Let's see what this ship can really do. As the red alert klaxons sounded throughout the vessel, Torres watched the approaching Vorax signatures on the tactical display. The real test of the Blackstar, and humanity's last hope, was about to begin. Defiance beyond stars. Vorax scout vessels had extreme weapons range, Captain. Lieutenant Park's voice was taut with concentration as her fingers danced across the tactical display. 5 ships, Corvette class. Torres studied the approaching enemy formation on the main view screen. Unlike the sleek design of the Blackstar, or the utilitarian construction of standard Earth vessels, Vorax ships were organic in appearance. Asymmetrical, with irregular protrusions and a chitinous outer hull that seemed to pulse with internal light. They resembled nothing so much as massive insects, predatory and alien. Magnify, Torres ordered. The view screen zoomed in on the lead vessel, revealing more details of its disturbing design. Weapons status. Graviton lances charged and ready, Park replied. Targeting solutions locked. Torres took a deep breath. This was the moment that would determine whether the Blackstar was humanity's salvation or an expensive coffin. Hold position. Let them come to us. Commander Kimura shot her a questioning glance. Captain, we need to test the phase shift shields first, Torres explained. If they fail, we need to know before we commit to engaging the main fleet. The bridge fell silent as the Vorax ships approached, their formation tightening into an attack pattern familiar from previous encounters. They're charging weapons, Park reported, tension evident in her voice. Prepare to engage phase shift shields on my mark, Torres said calmly. Engineering. Divert additional power to the quantum stabilizers. The lead Vorax vessel fired. A brilliant stream of coruscating energy that had torn through conventional Earth shields in past engagements as if they were tissue paper. Mark. The Blackstar shimmered as the phase shift technology engaged, partially displacing the vessel from normal spacetime. The Vorax energy beam struck and passed partially through the ship, dissipating into harmless particles that scattered against the hull. A moment of stunned silence fell across the bridge, broken by Dr. Rivera's whoop from the engineering station. It worked. The phase variance is holding at 97% efficiency. Torres allowed herself a brief smile. Lieutenant Park, target the lead Vorax vessel. Fire graviton lance, 1/4 power. The Blackstar's primary weapon activated with a low, resonant hum that seemed to vibrate through the deck plates. From the ship's bow, a concentrated beam of distorted spacetime lanced out, barely visible except as a rippling distortion against the backdrop of stars. It struck the lead Vorax ship dead center. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then, with horrifying elegance, the Vorax vessel began to implode, its hull compressing inward as if crushed by an invisible fist. In seconds, what had been a formidable enemy warship was reduced to a dense ball of compacted matter no larger than a shuttle. Target destroyed, Park reported, unable to keep the awe from her voice. Graviton lance performing beyond projected specifications. The remaining Vorax vessels scattered, breaking formation in what seemed like confusion, a behavior never before observed in their hive-like combat tactics. They're transmitting something, Lieutenant Zhao called from communications, a signal unlike anything we've intercepted before. Massive data packet directed toward the main fleet. Torres felt a surge of hope. They're afraid. Tactical, target the nearest vessel. Engineering, divert all available power to weapons. The next 3 Vorax ships fell in rapid succession, each collapsing under the graviton lance's reality warping field. The 5th turned to flee, accelerating away at maximum speed. Should we pursue, Captain? Kimura asked. Torres shook her head. Let it go. We want them to report back to the main fleet. She turned to Dr. Rivera. Doctor, how soon can we execute a quantum fold to intercept the primary Vorax force? Rivera studied her console, eyes alight with scientific fervor. The drive core needs 10 minutes to cycle after the phase shift shield engagement. But Captain, I should note that we've never attempted a fold with a vessel this size. The mathematics are sound. But 10 minutes it is, Torres interrupted. Navigation. Plot a course to bring us out directly behind the main Vorax fleet. We need to locate and target their command ship. As the crew prepared for the first-ever quantum fold, Torres contacted Earth Defense Command. Admiral Chen's face appeared on her private view screen. The initial engagement was successful, Torres reported. The Blackstar's systems performed beyond expectations. Chen's expression showed carefully controlled hope. And casualties? None. The phase shift shields negated their weapons completely. Torres leaned forward. Admiral, we're preparing to execute a quantum fold to engage the main fleet. If we don't return, tell Earth that the technology works. Build more ships like the Blackstar. Chen nodded solemnly. Understood, Captain. Good hunting. As the transmission ended, Commander Kimura approached Torres' chair. Orders, Captain. Torres stood, addressing the entire bridge crew. What we're about to attempt has never been done before. According to everything the coalition races have told us, it's impossible. Fortunately, humanity has a long history of accomplishing the impossible. She smiled grimly. Battle stations. Prepare for quantum fold. The sensation of the quantum fold was unlike anything Torres had experienced. A momentary feeling of existing everywhere and nowhere simultaneously, as if her consciousness had been smeared across the fabric of the universe before snapping back into focus. Around her, several crew members staggered, faces pale. Ensign Rodriguez at navigation was openly retching into an emergency bag. Status report, Torres called, fighting down her own disorientation. Quantum fold successful, Dr. Rivera announced, her voice filled with wonder. We've traveled 273 million kilometers in 3.8 seconds. Position is exactly as calculated. Torres turned her attention to the tactical display. The main Vorax fleet spread before them, over 30 vessels of various sizes, all moving with the coordinated precision of a single organism. At the center of the formation loomed a massive ship easily 4 times the size of the others. That has to be the command vessel, Torres said. Tactical analysis. Lieutenant Park studied her readings. The command ship is generating some kind of coherent energy field that appears to link all vessels in the fleet. Based on the transmission patterns, it seems to function as a central nervous system for the entire attack force. So if we take it out, the rest might be neutralized, or at least severely compromised in their coordination. Park confirmed. Torres nodded. That's our target. But first, we need to clear a path. She turned to Rivera. Doctor, can we cycle between conventional propulsion, phase shift, and short quantum jumps? Rivera's eyes widened. You want to flicker in and out of normal space while moving. That's... She paused, fingers flying over calculations. Theoretically possible, but the strain on the drive would be enormous. Can we do it? Rivera hesitated, then nodded. Yes. Once. That's all we need. Torres returned to the captain's chair. Navigation. Plot an attack vector directly through the Vorax formation, ending at the command ship. Engineering. Prepare to cycle between propulsion systems on Tactical's mark. Weapons. Stand by to deliver maximum payload to the command vessel when we reach it. As the crew prepared for what might be their final action, Torres activated the ship-wide communication system. All hands, this is the captain. What we do in the next few minutes will determine the fate of Earth and possibly all of humanity. Each of you was chosen for this mission because you represent the best of what humans can be. Intelligence, courage, determination, the qualities that have allowed our species to survive and thrive against all odds. She paused. The Vorax believe us to be easy prey. Let's show them how humanity fights when everything we love is at stake. She nodded to Chimera. Execute attack plan. The Blackstar surged forward, conventional engines at maximum thrust. As they closed with the outer edge of the Vorax formation, the enemy ships began to react, turning to bring weapons to bear. Phase shift. Now. The ship shimmered into partial displacement, just as multiple energy beams converged on their position, passing harmlessly through the Blackstar's shifted form. They carved through the first line of Vorax vessels, weapons firing continuously, leaving gravitational distortions and imploding ships in their wake. Quantum jump, mark. The universe blinked, and suddenly they were behind the second defensive line, reappearing in normal space just long enough to fire another salvo before shifting phases again. The Blackstar moved like a ghost through the Vorax formation, untouchable yet dealing devastating damage with each transition. Command ship adjusting position, Park called out. They're attempting to withdraw behind the remaining escort vessels. Torres gripped the arms of her chair. Prepare final quantum jump. All power to the graviton lance. The ship shuddered violently as they executed the final jump, reappearing directly above the massive Vorax command vessel. On the view screen, its organic hull pulsed with angry light, weapon ports opening like malevolent eyes along its length. They're powering up something massive, Park warned. Energy readings off the scale. Fire everything we have, Torres ordered. Now. The Blackstar's graviton lance discharged at full power, joined by every secondary weapon system. The command ship's surface rippled under the onslaught, but held. Minimal damage, Park reported urgently. Their hull composition is adapting to our attack profile. Torres turned to Rivera. Options. The scientist's eyes were fixed on her readings. The quantum drive is severely damaged from the cycling. But there might be one possibility. She looked up, face grim. We could initiate a quantum fold implosion, essentially collapse the fold field while it's forming. The resulting quantum distortion would be catastrophic for anything within a 1,000-kilometer radius. And for the Blackstar? Torres asked, already knowing the answer. Rivera met her gaze evenly. The same. Torres nodded slowly, understanding the choice before her. Can you program the ship to execute the implosion after we evacuate in escape pods? Negative, Rivera replied. The process requires active compensation for quantum fluctuations. Someone would need to remain aboard to manage the collapse. Silence fell across the bridge as the implications sank in. The Vorax command ship was charging its main weapon, a weapon capable of destroying planets. If it reached Earth, I'll stay, Rivera said finally. It's my technology. My responsibility. Torres shook her head. No, Doctor. Your knowledge is too valuable to Earth's future defense. She stood, addressing her executive officer. Commander Chimera, prepare to evacuate the crew. Set a course for the nearest escape vector. Captain, Chimera began. That's an order, Commander. Torres's voice brooked no argument. Earth will need every one of you for what comes next. As the evacuation order spread throughout the ship, Torres turned to Dr. Rivera. Show me exactly what needs to be done to trigger the implosion. Rivera hesitated, then nodded reluctantly. It will take about 5 minutes from initiation to critical threshold. After that, there's no stopping it. Torres felt for the quantum resonance key in her pocket, the device Rivera had given her to ensure she remained in phase with normal spacetime, a contingency, an insurance policy, perhaps something more. 17 minutes later, the Blackstar's escape pods launched, carrying the ship's crew away from the impending catastrophe. From the command chair, Torres watched them go, small specks of hope racing away from what was about to become ground zero of a quantum disaster. The Vorax command ship loomed on the view screen, now surrounded by its remaining escorts in a protective formation. They had made no move to fire on the escaping pods, their attention fixed entirely on the Blackstar, the unprecedented threat. Quantum collapse sequence initiated. Torres announced to the empty bridge. Time to critical threshold. 4 minutes, 30 seconds. She had sent Rivera with the others, despite the scientists' protests. Only Torres remained, monitoring the carefully calibrated collapse of the quantum field that would soon tear a hole in the fabric of reality. The ship shuddered as the Vorax finally opened fire, their energy weapons striking the now conventional shields with tremendous force. Alarms blared as systems began to fail under the assault. Shields at 30%, the computer reported dispassionately. Hull breach on Deck 4. Quantum field stability at 87% and declining. Torres extracted the quantum resonance key from her pocket, studying its pulsing blue light. Rivera had designed it to keep its bearer in phase with normal spacetime, regardless of quantum disruptions. A failsafe, one Torres had initially rejected as a means of personal survival. But now, a different possibility occurred to her. Computer, time to critical threshold. 3 minutes, 15 seconds. Working quickly, Torres interfaced the resonance key with the ship's navigational system. If her theory was correct, the key's phase-locking properties could be inverted, creating not a bubble of stability, but a quantum anchor, a fixed point around which the implosion would center, ensuring maximum effect against the Vorax command ship. The view screen flickered as another barrage struck the ship. Shields at 12%. Torres completed the final adjustments just as the deck plates beneath her feet began to vibrate with increasing intensity. Around her, reality itself seemed to waver, light bending in impossible ways as the quantum field approached collapse. Computer, time to critical threshold. 1 minute, 30 seconds. Torres sat back in the captain's chair, eyes fixed on the Vorax command ship. In her mind's eye, she saw Earth, blue and beautiful and alive with billions of souls who would never know how close they had come to extinction. She saw the faces of her crew, the best humanity had to offer, carrying forward the legacy of the Blackstar. Computer, initiate emergency thrusters. Set collision course with Vorax command vessel. The damaged ship lurched forward, accelerating toward its target. On the tactical display, Torres could see the Vorax escorts moving to intercept, but they were too late. The Blackstar, bleeding atmosphere and trailing debris, drove straight toward the heart of the command ship. Impact in 10 seconds, the computer announced. Quantum field collapse in 45 seconds. Torres closed her eyes, feeling a strange sense of peace descend upon her. For Earth, she whispered. The impact came as a jarring crash that threw her forward against the restraints. Metal screamed against metal, or whatever alien substance comprised the Vorax hull. The Blackstar had embedded itself deep into the command ship structure, the two vessels now locked together in a fatal embrace. Quantum field collapse in 20 seconds. Around Torres, reality trembled on the edge of dissolution. Light fractured into impossible spectra, and gravity fluctuated wildly. The quantum resonance key, now integrated into the ship's systems, pulsed with increasing intensity. Quantum field collapse in 10 seconds. 9. 8. Torres thought of Admiral Chen's words. The Blackstar is a symbol of what humanity can achieve when pushed to our limits. 3, 2, 1. Space itself tore open as the quantum field collapsed, creating a singularity that devoured both the Blackstar and the Vorax command ship. The explosion bloomed outward in eerie silence, a sphere of distorted space-time that consumed everything it touched. The remaining Vorax vessels, caught in its expanding radius, twisted and fragmented as reality itself rejected their existence. Then, as suddenly as it had begun, the quantum distortion stabilized and collapsed back in on itself, leaving nothing but scattered debris where a mighty fleet had once been. In the observation lounge of Earth Defense Headquarters, Admiral Chen watched the long-range sensor recordings for the dozenth time. The quantum implosion had been visible even from Earth orbit, a brief, impossible flare of energy at the edge of the solar system. "Play it again," she instructed the technician. Once more, she witnessed the Blackstar's final moments. The suicidal charge, the impact with the Vorax command ship, the reality-warping explosion that followed. And then, the miracle. The remaining Vorax vessels, suddenly directionless, their coordinated attack patterns deteriorating into chaos. Easy prey for Earth's conventional forces. The door to the observation lounge slid open, and Dr. Rivera entered, still wearing the same rumpled lab coat she'd had on when her escape pod had been recovered 3 days ago. "The quantum physics team has finished their analysis," Rivera said without preamble. The implosion created a temporary subspace rift that effectively severed the Vorax hive-mind connection. Without the command ship, they couldn't function cohesively. Chen nodded. "And Captain Torres?" Rivera hesitated. The quantum resonance key was designed to preserve its bearer in normal spacetime, regardless of disruptions. In theory, it could have protected her from the worst effects of the implosion, but she would have had to activate it before the collapse reached critical threshold. And did she? "I don't know." Rivera's voice was soft. "The key was missing when I examined."